What's going on, everybody? And I hope you're enjoying your Tuesday afternoon so far. NYG Jeffy T85 here, and I'm going to talk about three players that could potentially be breakout players going into the 2023 NFL season for your Big Blue New York Football Giants. We've already seen some players break out this past season, including left tackle Andrew Thomas and defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, who both enjoyed big-time jumps in their fourth and third seasons, respectively. Both players were named second-team All-Pro. Dexter Lawrence was named to the Pro Bowl team. Andrew Thomas was named one of the top left tackles in the NFL. Now we're going to be examining three players that could potentially be breakout players going into this season. This is per Bleacher Report. They list three players that could potentially be breakout players, and I'll let you know if I agree or disagree with this one. First one being right tackle Evan Neal. Obviously, Evan Neal, it was a complete struggle for him overall. He played in 13 games in his rookie season at right tackle, but he obviously struggled a lot with dealing with the pass rushers on the outside. Speed rushers really gave him a lot of trouble, and he also dealt with knee injury with a sprained MCL that he suffered during the Jacksonville Jaguars game right before the bye. And right now, Evan Neal is going to be going to his second season at only 22 years old, looking to see if he can build off what was a very rough first season for him in the NFL. Neal does have the size to be a dominant right tackle in the NFL and the athleticism, and offensive line coach Bobby Johnson is taking under his tutelage to try to get the most and try to improve on the technique of Evan Neal, who, like we mentioned, struggled with his reactionary timing going up against speed rushers on the right side. If Evan Neal can find a way to work on his read on the outside, Evan Neal could be one of those players that could emerge and take the jump going into his second year with the New York Football Giants. That's one guy that the Giants have to make sure takes a jump. That's one of the guys the Giants need to take a jump going into next year. And that's one of the guys the Giants are expecting to take a jump going into his second year in the NFL. Shows a lot of promise. He's been training also with former All-Pro offensive lineman Willie Anderson, who was an Alabama product himself, and he's going to be training with him all off-season to try and see if he can work on Evan Neal as well and showcase more of his play strength and not more, work on his footwork and try to tone in his athleticism going into this off-season. So that's going to be one of the players to really have a strong outlook on how he's going to look, how he's going to play going into the 2023 NFL season, because you look at the Giants offensive line, how it's put together right now. Andrew Thomas is emerging as one of the best, if not the best, left tackle in the NFL. John Michael Schmidt was drafted at the center position in the first round. You already got Ben Bredesen, Joshua Zudu, Mark Lewinsky, among others that are going to be vying for the guard position at right and left guard. Now you're going to be hoping that your right tackle, Evan Neal, can take that jump going into his second year. And if he's able to do that, it is not only going to stabilize that New York Giants offensive line, but it could take that Giants offense to a level that they have been anticipating trying to go to ever since they drafted this kid, number 7 overall out of Alabama, in the first round in 2022. And hopefully, Evan Neal is going to be up to the task and is going to be able to hone in those big-time traits he has, and he's going to be able to become the player that the New York Giants hoped they got at number 7 last year and anchor that right side along with Andrew Thomas at the left tackle position. The next player on the list is Daniel Bellinger, the former San Diego State tight end, drafted in the 4th round by the New York Giants last year. He actually flashed some signs of being one of those players that can emerge as an offensive playmaker for the New York Giants during the 2022 season. Unfortunately, in that same game that Evan Neal ended up getting hurt, Daniel Bellinger unfortunately suffered an eye injury, and that cost him at least 5-6 games during the regular season, and he didn't make his return until latter part of the season. And while he was in there, he was flashing some ability over the middle of the field, recording 30 catches for 268 yards overall and 2 touchdowns and being that security blanket over the middle of the field and even stretching the defense a little bit on the outside and being that guy at the tight end position where Daniel Jones needed to find a security blanket or dump it over the middle. That's exactly where Daniel Bellinger was most of the time. And according to Sports Info Solutions, the Giants were in either 20, 21, or 11 personnel 87% of the time in 2022, and the offensive identity should change a bit with both Waller and Bellinger on the roster. So even though the Giants have a lot more wide receivers on the roster now, do not be shocked if you see this Giants team implement more of a 20 and 21 personnel overall, with the fact that you got Bellinger and Waller at the tight end position for Big Blue going into the 2023 NFL season. So I expect Daniel Bellinger, if Bellinger can remain healthy, and that's a big if. Unfortunately, he did suffer that eye injury, and it did slow him down. He does need to work on his route running. He does need to become a little bit more of a complete player in terms of his route skills in the NFL. But you figure you give this kid more time to be able to refine his route running and refine his overall skill set as a pass protector too, because now that you have Darren Waller at tight end, you're not going to be asking Daniel Bellinger to be that focal point at the tight end position offensively. You can rely more on Waller to be the guy that's going to be your pass catcher, and then Daniel Bellinger could be the player to work on his blocking, which is his strength on offense, and he can also be the underneath guy, while Darren Waller is your inline tight end that could take it over the middle, get the defense to be honest with him, and then you could obviously have Bellinger take advantage over the middle of the field going into this upcoming season. And then the final player on this list, and a lot of Giants fans are hoping this kid is able to take his talents to the next level, and that, of course, is wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins, 24 years old, who came in after being pretty much on the practice squad of the Buffalo Bills during the 2023 season. Giants picked him up off of waivers in November, and he made an immediate impact and had a great connection immediately with Daniel Jones, where he racked up 351 yards on 4 touchdowns in just 8 games during the regular season, and he quickly became one of Jones' most reliable targets, where he provided a 123.3 passer rating from Daniel Jones to Isaiah Hodgins when he was targeted. 6'4", 200-plus pound wide receiver, can operate in the slot, operate on the outside as a 50-50 guy, can be a guy that can win over the middle. He's one of those guys that maybe he just needed to be in the right offensive system to be able to get the most out of his skill set during the 2021 season, and he was one of those guys that when he was playing in Oregon State, he was the leading receiver on that team, and a lot of Giants fans were very high on this kid coming outside, and like they mentioned, he's a potential inside-outside target with below average speed but outstanding ball skills. So he's not going to beat you with his speed, but the Giants have a lot of speed already at the wide receiver position with Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, Jalen Hyatt, among others on this team. Hodgins is going to be more of those big receivers, 50-50 guys, move the chains over the middle, can play the slot. You can put him on the outside, put the ball up there, and let him go pluck it out of the air. And obviously, the Giants wide receiver position is wide open. There is no number 1 receiver right now on this roster, and you could argue that if he goes out there and puts out a solid performance, Isaiah Hodgins can end up winning that number 1 receiver position for Big Blue going into this upcoming season. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen, but either way, this is something that's definitely going to make Giants fans happy because of how productive Isaiah Hodgins was at the wide receiver position when the Giants picked him up in November off of waivers from the Buffalo Bills, and the Giants are hoping, much like Neal and Bellinger, Hodgins could take that next step and maybe potentially be, maybe not the number 1 receiver on this team, but he could build himself up as a top receiving option on Big Blue going into the 2023 NFL season. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen, but these are 3 players according to Bleacher Report. And shout out to our guy, Tommy's Takes. He's another one of these guys that has also been shouting out, saying that Isaiah Hodgins could be one of those guys that could emerge in this Giants system with the fact that he's very familiar with Brian Daboll and the New York Giants offensive system. He could be one of those guys that can really take his step to the next level in this Giants wide receiver core going into 2023. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen either way, but this is something to definitely look forward to and to be excited about going into this upcoming season. But if you guys like this video, as always, hit that like button. And of course, sub up to NYGJeffyT85, where I'll give you more news, updates, and chatter on the New York Giants. Turn on that bell for notifications on when the next video or short will be dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Giants. And you guys let me know in the comment section if you agree that these three players, Evan Neal, Daniel Bellinger, and Isaiah Hodgins, are three players that could potentially take a big leap going into the 2023 NFL season. And if there are any other players currently on this New York Giants roster that you believe could potentially take that leap going into the 2023 NFL season, another player who you liked going into 2023 or was injured and didn't have the best season that they could have had in 2023, could potentially be one of those sleepers to make that jump going into 2023 and really carve out a major role with the Giants offense or defense into next season. And of course, thank you guys always for the support that you give me. If you enjoy this video, don't be afraid to hit that super thanks at the bottom. Shows your appreciation and support for the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support and all the feedback that you give me on my channel and helping me grow to the position that I'm in right now. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I'm very supportive and very genuine to all what you guys have done for me. And I really sincerely thank everybody for what you have done for my channel. You mean the world to me, and thank you guys always for your constant support. Thank you guys as always. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Take it easy, and let's go New York Giants as always. Together blue, everyone.